discussing Chris's adventure to New York Comic Con. He saw a bunch of wonderful panels, met some wonderful people, and we're going to dive into that today. Hi, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, Anthony Paone. How are you? How are you yourself?
I forgot to introduce myself.
Yeah, I had to do it for you.
I was so in the zone. I wanted to sound so professional.
The Paone zone.
But I forgot to introduce myself.
Yeah.
It's just me and Chris today. Yeah. So let's dive into this.
Yes, let's dive. Make sure it's more than 5 feet deep, because you can't dive it's below that.
Exactly. Let's make sure it's exactly 6 feet, nothing less, so that it's a little mini dive.
Yeah.
So Chris, how'd you get to go to New York Comic Con?
I am a member of a press, believe it or not.
Whoa!
Yeah, not only do I write and podcast for Marvel News Desk, I also write for a few other websites. So I as I mentioned in that episode, Cooper Hood, I freelance for Screen Rant. I write for this website called Flixist, which is the film website of Destructoid. And that's how I got my press credential through them. And I also write for DualShockers, the video game website. So, yeah, it was months ago where we basically got pinged. It was like, hey, press signups for NYCC are up. Just send an application, which I did. I want to say a couple months later, like maybe 2 months later, I heard back. And then I think just a few weeks ago, I finally got my press badge in the mail, which is all right. So yeah, that was basically it. You get in for free as a member of the press, and and then I just kind of jumped into this con, just improvising,
Yep, that's pretty cool. You're one of my first few friends to actually get into that zone.
Oh sure.
Into the coolness stuff. Like a real press person, not HR, but right there. Almost at HR. Mm-hmm. That's the dream. So, give me kind of your your experience on the first day of heading to New York Comic Con, which was October 4th.
Yeah, that was on a Thursday, so it wasn't necessarily the biggest day. Mm-hmm. But still, I hadn't gone to many conventions before. I had been to FlameCon the month before. I had been to I went to a Walking Dead thing last year in Philadelphia, and maybe a few gaming things in high school, but this is by far the biggest convention I've ever been to. So even if it was at the smallest capacity in terms of attendees, I was still quite overwhelmed. So you walk in, there's all the security in there, and banners and posters, and just a sea of people, mostly in cosplay. And I'm confused on where is what. I couldn't really fathom the scale of the show floor, because there are so many ways to enter the show floor. So I just kind of went straight to the press lounge on the I think it was the 4th floor, just to chill for a bit, find my bearings. So then when I went to the show floor, because I didn't have anything on my schedule for a bit, I just walked around. I saw all the booths. I saw a lot of comic companies, a lot of comic publishers, a lot of toy companies, a few video game companies. So I think Namco was there, Bandai Namco was there, Square Enix was there.
I think I went one day of 1 year. I think when Assassin's Creed 3 came out.
Right.
So that was years ago. I got I was able to get 1 day ticket, and I went and I saw a prequel playthrough of Assassin's Creed 3. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So there's video game stuff there. It's not E3 level, but
yeah. But I watched someone play Kingdom Hearts 3. There were all of these booths with Kingdom Hearts 3.
Now that is some spicy info.
Right, and so here's the thing. I think that was the same build that they showed in Tokyo Game Show. I assume it was, because Tokyo Game Show was so recent.
Yeah.
But they had all these booths set up, and you have to get a ticket. You have to get a ticket to play the game. You have to get a ticket for a time slot. So you would have to get there 10 a.m. At opening, and they might give you a ticket that says 2 or 3 p.m. and you had to come back during your time slot. So I got there at 11 a.m. The tickets were already gone on Thursday. So I just kind of stood behind a barrier, and I just watched someone play in the Toy Story world. And, like, I didn't know, like, how good the frame rate was and, like, how crisp the graphics were. I was like, oh my god, I'm actually watching someone play Kingdom Hearts 3 right now.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Like, was it in English instead of, like, all the footage we saw was in Japanese?
Right, so the subtitles were in English. I could not hear I could not hear the voices.
Oh, okay. So maybe it was just, like, subtitles for just audio.
That's possible, yeah, but, like, again, like, I was not close enough to because, like, the crowd noise is just so goddamn loud.
Wow.
Yeah, like, even though it was Thursday, like, it was hard. I was, like, feeling stressed out just walking around the show floor.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'm not claustrophobic, and I like to think that I'm, like, kind of getting over some parts of my anxiety, but I was like, oh, Jesus, there are too many people here. A lot of lines for things, for, like, photo booths.
Yeah.
I saw
comic lines.
Yeah, I saw a glass, like, M. Night Shyamalan glass booth where you can, like, take pictures. I saw, like, a She-Ra thing.
Was it M. Night Shyamalan in a glass container?
No, I think I did not go inside, but, like, they had a little area that was, like, based on, like, the comic book shop in the movie, and
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and there was a big She-Ra statue, like, right when you go on the show floor, which is pretty cool. So a lot of people are taking pictures with that.
Cool.
Yeah, and, like, a lot of sci-fi, like SYFY.
I remember when they changed it from the old one, which was SCI.
Yeah. So they had a presence both as press members, but also they, like, hosted a show. They hosted a live show. So they had a stage on the show floor, like in the very left corner, the far left corner.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And they would just, like, interview different people, like, every 15 minutes. I assume they were either broadcasting this either on television.
Who was interviewing them?
Like, sci-fi personalities, like people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I actually thought that when we were talking earlier, you said that the Russo brothers.
No, they were not even there. No, I mean, like, people with sci-fi shirts and, like, people who have bylines in their website and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they also had, like, a little fan center where, like, they sold T-shirts and water bottles. So yeah, sci-fi had a large footprint at this event.
Yeah. I think they're trying to get back into the game of, like, this is for our people. We need to make sure that it's, like, our people can watch our shit and pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah, I think their tagline was, like, it's a fan thing or something like that. Like, you saw that a lot, like, on their T-shirts and screens and products and stuff like that. And then once you go past that, like, up another floor, there was the cosplay corner, so there's, like, a little... I
mean, people were walking around in general in cosplay.
Yeah.
But there's, like, a specific section for
there was like a changing booth almost. There was a mini auditorium there with a screen and a table there for, like, cosplay related panels. Place where you can take pictures, and then behind that were curtains for the press lounge. I would have, like, outlets and tables and chairs where you can just, like, do your stuff. And then behind that were more curtains for the press rooms.
And then behind this curtain...
Yeah. And the press rooms is where you...
So, did you see anyone famous in these press booths or rooms?
I mean, I saw... I'm not going to name names, but, like, I saw people who I, like... might follow on Twitter, you know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I didn't know where I could stand there as, like, either a fellow member of the press or as a fan, so I chose to just not talk to them. But it was really great, like, just meeting new people in the press, because I hadn't really done that before. So luckily I had a giant stack of business cards with me. And yeah, we would just, like, kind of trade stories and, like, exchange business cards, follow each other on Twitter, and it was a really great networking event, I should say.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's really great to hear.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you, like, say you wanted to move on to other businesses and other companies, you can.
For sure. Yeah.
Bigger things.
Yeah.
Between,
I guess
I remember this kid. He was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I got to talk to I got to meet some people in person for the first time. So, like, for Flixus, I met this guy by the name of Jesse Lab, who I've, like, corresponded with for months, but we've never met each other in person. We met up in Artist's Alley, which is, like, several floors below what I just described. I met Caleb for the first time in person.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of
and as he told me, Caleb, he has not even met Adam yet, which is even funnier because they've like quote unquote known each other for longer. And that's
really interesting.
Yeah, Rhiannon was there. I'd met her before, so this is the second time I've met her in person.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, it was fairly cool to actually interface with people face to face, like sitting next to each other on our laptops and working side by side is something I was not used to because I always work from home.
Yeah, that's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
Did you released the episode last week, the Thursday one? Did you release it before you left, or like in the morning, or did you do it in the afternoon?
Oh, the Thor episode that we did?
Yeah.
I edited that before I left, and I posted it the morning before I left for Comic-Con. So it was kind of like a hectic
I was just
time.
like, it would be funny if you were working with them on Thursday and just be like, I just posted the episode.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how was Friday?
Friday was more crowded, actually, believe it or not.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Kids got out of school and stuff.
Yeah, so I had to, I'll talk more about this later when we get through the general rundown of the convention, but 10 a.m. is when the convention opens for general attendance and for the press, and I had to get there at like 9:45 to do the Runaways press room. There was a roundtable interview. So I didn't have any problem getting in, but like Caleb and Rhiannon, who were also at the press room, they got there earlier, and the guy would not let them in for some reason. I guess it was because it's too early, you're not allowed to go in until 10. And then they had to like someone called someone from Hulu and was like, hey, they're not letting us in. Someone came down and told the guard like, hey, you gotta let them in, and it was like, I'm not allowed to let them in. And it's like, no, just let them in. So it was like a whole thing. Security was like very, very strict. And,
no, that normally happens.
Yeah.
Not to talk about like humble brag about my stuff.
But, sure.
So my mom works for ESPN, and I've been to like fancy events like that.
Yeah.
And like she's been kind of like on your side, not like press, but like she works for the event.
Yeah,
so
I gotcha.
she has to like navigate security guards and saying, let them through. They're like my children. They can come in. They can come and come backstage. It's like stuff, like little things like that. But yeah, it's interesting to kind of have like other authority figures above you kind of like sneak you past this barrier that no one else can get past.
Right. Yeah. Shout out to this to Ron Workman, who
what a name!
I heard his name and I didn't think it was real at first, but he is. That
sounds like a comic book character, a side character that like helps out the superhero. It's like, hi, Ron Workman. Thanks for building my super suit. Or something.
Yeah. So he was the co-founder of Destructoid. He no longer works there, but like he was basically like nudge. If you need to get anywhere, like I can get you in.
That's the guy. Yeah. That's the guy in the comics. That's just like, if you need something, I can work you in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Take sunglasses, put sunglasses on, or I don't know.
Yeah, and the CSI Miami theme place or something like that. So that was the beginning of Friday, and then the actual panel was several hours before that. So I just went out with Rhiannon and her friends.
Is Rhiannon from New York?
Yes, she is. Shelby, who I had not met in person yet, but we are Twitter mutuals. And a few other Rhiannon's friends who I met for the first time. We went to lunch, and then we went straight to the Madison Square Garden for the Runaways panel. So some of the quote-unquote bigger panels were at Madison Square Garden at the Hulu Theater. Yeah,
which is interesting because the main convention center is on the west side.
Javits Center.
Yeah. The Javits Center is on the west side, like kind of like not lower west side, but like and like a little bit more like south of Madison Square Garden.
Yeah,
so it's like kind of a trek, not like a trek by New York standards at all, but like by any other person's standards who's never been in New York. It seems like it's definitely like a little bit of a walk. Like
it was, but
So it's probably funny. You're walking down the street and you see a bunch of people in cosplay going to all the panels.
Yeah, and these freaking normies are like, I saw like a security.
I'm just trying to get to work.
Yeah, I saw a security guard for a shopping center, and he yeah, I don't know what decade he came from, but he tried to use the word virgins as an insult to, like, when talking with a colleague about how crazy the sites were. And I was like, okay, you suck. But, yeah. Yeah, Madison Square Garden,
I'll have you know, I've had sex with more than one person multiple times.
Okay.
Sir.
Alright. Well, I didn't want to yell that at that person, but, like, I also didn't care that much. Not to mention, like, it's okay to be a virgin.
Yeah, that too.
Well, our sex episode was a few weeks ago, so let's move on. But, the Madison Square Garden security was a little more stricter. Like, I could not bring my backpack in for the Runaways panel.
That kind of makes sense, though.
It's true, but here's the thing.
Big venue, New York.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, they picked up my microphone, the one that I'm using right now, because I carried my microphone around with me. I used it for the Runaways interview. And they picked up the microphone out of the bag like they'd never seen a microphone in their life before, which I found hilarious. So I had to check my bag in, and it was just a whole annoying thing. Yeah. The later two times I went into Madison Square Garden, they did not have to check my bag in. I just waltzed in there with, like, they checked my bag and they let me in with it. And then the fourth time they told me to check my bag, and, like, the same guy from the first time called me, and he was like, oh, you know what, we're 2 for 2, just go in. Just go in. And it was like, okay, this guy's alright. This guy's alright. Yeah, he gets it. But, yeah, Runaways was actually not that packed. For using the whole theater, compared to the later panels I'll talk about, but like there was still a lot of enthusiasm in there, but like there were clearly like open seats around.
Yeah, was there another panel going on at that time?
I mean, maybe there were people waiting for the panel after that. I don't forget what it was. I think there was.
What time was this?
Shoot. I want to say that was like 1:30 or 2 o'clock or something like that.
Okay. Maybe people were still at school.
I guess so. Yeah.
Maybe like high schoolers. Like,
yeah. I don't really know I don't know too much about the fan base of Runaways except that I am in it. But yeah. We'll talk about them more later. But I think the rest of the day, I was just trying to get some work done. I was trying to write up some stuff for the interviews that I did about the panel that I just saw, and losing track of time and realizing that I had to go to a Marvel News Desk meetup at 6:30.
Now, were you doing that work in the press section?
Yes, the press lounge, which had the worst goddamn
cool,
Wi-Fi ever.
You're working next to people that you've seen, like you've interacted. Not like in person or like you've retweeted people.
Sure, yeah. These are my
Cool.
peers. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Wi-Fi sucks very badly though.
Which is weird. That doesn't make any that shouldn't be the case.
I mean,
especially in 2018 and especially in the press booth.
Yeah. In fact, I think the Wi-Fi works better in Artist Alley, which is like in the lower level than it did in the top level of the press lounge. It was NYCC Ralph Breaks the Internet for the for the Disney movie. So every time so every time I had to click on the Wi-Fi network, which is a lot because it kept disconnecting me from it, it would take me to a login portal that was just the Wreck-It Ralph 2 logo, and I would hit connect, and it would open not one but 2 tabs of the YouTube trailer of Wreck-It Ralph 2.
This is so gross.
So
heavy sigh.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, why would you use break the internet? That's a little too on the nose because the internet would actually break all the time, and I would like lose some of my progress and stuff like that. So I had to get like very careful when I was like saving stuff on the back end of Destructoid. So that was Friday.
How's the meetup?
Meetup was good. There were some people that like Shelby was there, and like a lot of Rhiannon's buddies were there. Michael T. Ford, who we sometimes interact with on Twitter, was there. And yeah, we had a lot of some of the food there I was allergic to, so I had to kind of make a special order for myself. I have a shellfish allergy.
What are you allergic to?
Shellfish.
I never knew this, Chris. We have been friends for like 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's never came up. Like, we always eat at crappy places, so like, we don't go to Red Lobster or something like that. But
you haven't seen me in a while. I've been to Red Lobster multiple times.
That's insane.
Those Cheddar Bay biscuits, very, very good.
Okay, yeah. But it ended up just being like a very long conversation about like just are like, I don't want to say complaining, but a lot of like dissecting the structure of the whole convention. Like, why can't we just have like an all panel day where there's no show floor? Like, that's something like Caleb was suggesting. I might be paraphrasing, but like just kind of trying to like figure out like the mental model of like whoever organized these conventions. And then we just talked about the Netflix shows a lot because we were like very hyped for Daredevil the next day. And we were just like, we had a very long debate about Trish Walker from Jessica Jones.
Interesting.
Yeah,
like, I haven't watched season 2.
Yeah,
so
we were like, do we like her better than Ward Meacham? Like debates like that. And
that's a little. It's just that makes sense. Like secondary, supporting characters that are more prominent in the second season. So it makes sense to parallel the two.
And then talking about like what would a Defender season 2 look like?
Okay.
And it was a long conversation. I had to head out because I wanted to go to a little private party that Remedy Entertainment was holding. Remedy being the guys who made Alan Wake and
my favorite game of all time. And you didn't tell me you went to a private party. Okay.
It was Chris, it was very small. And I was too shy to actually talk to any of the voice actors or developers. So I just interacted with other press people, to be honest.
Chris?
Yeah?
You piece of shit. You didn't tell me any of this. Alan Wake is my favorite game. It got me into artistic games. It got me, instead of playing Call of Duty bullshit, I started playing, BioShock because of Alan Wake, which is a weird jump, but
shout out to Jordan from Dual Shockers, who I met for the first time in person there.
That is awesome, though. That is very cool. We'll talk more about that when we get back to
I saw the voice actors. I did not talk to any for Control, their new game Control.
Oh that looks really cool. And I remember when during E3 when Giant Bomb talked about it. I saw the hype, and a lot of people were agreeing with me. So I'm
anti-Quantum Break, let's call it.
Yeah, it's like
people do not like Quantum Break.
No, what was the first word you said for
anti?
Anti.
Like a good Quantum Break.
A good Quantum Break, yeah, where it's like the actual telekinesis powers are cool and fluid and fun.
Yeah,
and that's good. I'm very excited.
And then I got locked out of my host's apartment, so
that happens. That happens a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up taking a late night lift to No. That was that happened Thursday night, not Friday night. Thursday night's when I saw Venom.
So wait, you saw Venom on Thursday with Pete?
On an impulse. Let me say,
on an impulse.
We had drinks. We saw it.
You have to go see Venom drunk.
Yes, and then that's when I got home so late, like because it was an impulse, it wasn't planned. So I got to their apartment late, and I was locked out. Even though they said we're gonna tell security to let you in, and we're gonna leave the door unlocked. Security did not let me in. I had to sneak in, and then the door was locked. So despite the doorbell ringing and knocking and slamming, I didn't want to wake up anyone else in the apartment building. I gave up and I called every single person in New York City, but it was like 2:30 in the morning, and the only one who answered was Bryn Scherenberg, God bless her soul. And I took a lift to Brooklyn, and I slept on their guest bed. So that was a mini disaster, but that was Thursday night. Yeah, Friday night was worked out with the hits. Like after that Remedy thing, I went straight back and someone let me in. I slept. Because the next morning I had Good Omens on Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. Saturday was interesting because Good Omens, and then what was it after that? Daredevil after that. They were both at Madison Square Garden, so I actually did not go to Javits Center for like a very long time that day.
Oh wow!
Yeah, okay. I went straight to Good Omens. I got a poster. I got to see Whoopi Goldberg moderate this panel with Neil Gaiman.
What?
Yes, right?
That seems like a weird host for a panel. Yeah. Unless Whoopi Goldberg is in it as some sort of interesting.
Maybe her character from the next Star Trek: The Next Generations. I don't know.
Maybe her character from
Sister Act.
Ghost. Her character from Ghost, anyone?
Sure. Yeah. Probably not, but we'll find out.
Bringing in the Ghost universe.
Yeah. So yeah, it was Neil Gaiman was there, the director Douglas McKinnon, who had done work on Doctor Who. Speaking of Doctor Who, David Tennant was there.
What? Oh yeah, because he's in Good Omens.
Michael Sheen, Miranda Richardson, and John Hamm, and apparently his first Comic-Con.
One. Why was John Hamm there?
He's in the cast.
Well, who is he playing?
He's playing Gabriel in Good Omens.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting. Is Good Omens a TV show, like a miniseries?
It will be a miniseries based on
the graphic novel.
On the book.
No,
it's
book.
just a novel. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
You might be thinking of Sandman, but
no, I'm thinking of the sci-fi show was a graphic novel.
Okay.
The sci-fi show that the Russo brothers are doing was a graphic novel.
Deadly Class.
So
perhaps?
I just had it flipped in my head.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Good Omens is gonna be on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a very good panel. It was packed. Like, oh my god, so many. Like, most of the people were Neil Gaiman fans, but like, it was insane just how packed that panel was.
Movie based off of a comic. Oh,
wait, on a novel.
That's every other
TV
panel.
show based on a novel, on a celebrated fantasy comedy novel.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I kind of just lounged around a Starbucks nearby, doing my work for the Good Omens panel.
I think I've been in that Starbucks though.
Yeah, probably.
I think I've been in one of the 50 Starbucks near the one block vicinity of Madison Square Garden.
That's possible, yeah. And then Daredevil, I got a reserved seat for it. Yeah. So I went through a VIP entrance. I got a wristband. And I just got to sit a little bit closer, like in the middle. It wasn't that significant, but like it was still pretty tight.
Anyone cool sitting around you that you noticed?
No, I saw someone with a bad talent, but I didn't recognize him, and I didn't bother to ask what he works for.
Excuse me, sir. That's obviously famous. What are you famous for?
Could have been like a stunt coordinator. I don't know, but yeah, but the Daredevil panel was all right. They did not show a full episode, but they showed a bunch of clips.
That's cool.
Which I think I'm allowed to talk about later. But then after that, what the hell else did I do Saturday?
Did you see Travis on Saturday, or did you see Travis?
I did not see him. No, I don't think. No, instead I hung out with Laura Berry and Betsy Ladizet, who has been on the show, and Bryn, who saved my life Thursday night, and we watched Riverdale on an impulse. Again, another impulse, and we ate ice cream and cookies, which was a fantastic night. Yeah, so yeah, I spent a lot after that. Saturday night was just me like having a beer with my hosts. Had a long talk about stuff, so then I slept really late as a result. I wanted to wake up early the next morning so I can try to get a Kingdom Hearts 3 ticket, but I overslept by a lot.
Yep.
Luckily, I was able to make it to the Doctor Who panel on Sunday.
Which I heard was fire.
Yeah. So they did they showed the first episode the same time it was like being simulcast around the world, so we got to watch the premiere episode like with everyone else.
Wow.
But like Jodie Whittaker was there, Chris Chibnall, the new showrunner, was there, the producer Matt Stevens was also there, so it was just like 3 people repping the show. And again,
none of the other assistants.
No, the other companions were not there, unfortunately. But I guess it's hard to get everyone to New York.
Apparently, this Jodie's doctor has a lot of companions, like a lot more than previous doctors.
Three companions this time around.
Yeah, which is a lot more than what we've seen in the past. I think Tenet got close to it one time, like one episode, and then Journey's End had a lot. That was the point of Journey's End.
A lot of classic doctors might have had around 3 companions.
Okay,
but like, modern doctors, like Capaldi had 2 at once. Matt Smith had the Pawns, the married couple. So yeah, three people. So Chris Chibnall was like, "Oh, people were complaining about the large cast," and then I tell them, "Have you seen This Is Us?" Which I thought was kind of funny because This Is Us has a massive cast. Yeah. But yeah, and everyone was dressed up as Jodie Whittaker.
I'm not surprised.
It's a very good costume. I like the costume a lot.
Yeah, it's fun. It reminds me of kind of like not a. It reminds me of School Teacher Doctor.
Interesting.
Like all the other doctors remind me of like School Teacher Doctors.
Yeah.
But this one also reminds me of like School Teacher Doctor.
Yeah.
Like in a fun, cool way. Like the other ones reminded me of School Teacher Doctor from like the 50s. Yeah. Like, I work at a school and I have a giant ruler.
Yeah, I've always kind of low-key want to cosplay as Peter Capaldi's doctor because he has a very like doesn't give a shit attitude. Like he used to have this very fancy coat and like a nice white dress shirt with like and his coat would have like a nice like red like lining underneath that you can see. And then in later seasons, like his hair was more unkempt and he just wore a hoodie instead of the dress shirt. And it was like, oh man, I'm so down for that. And also so that was Doctor Who. I went back to the press lounge after that to try to like finish up my stories before I left for the day. They kicked us out at like 5:30 at the press lounge, what I was really mad about. So I like just did my work in the food court. Found a Five Guys and ate dinner there.
Good shit.
Yeah,
I
met two strangers there, and we had a fun talk about Comic-Con, and we traded business cards, and then
that's kind of cool.
That was all right. Yeah, and then I went to I walked to the bus stop, took the bus, tried to fall asleep, didn't fall asleep, so I just listened to music, and then I came back home and instantly went to sleep without unpacking any of my stuff, and I slept in my clothes. I slept a lot of Monday, here I am. Yeah.
Yep. We were supposed to record this yesterday.
Yeah,
no,
I was asleep. Tired. Yeah, I was asleep.
So let's get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, let's
in
get
the
into
words
it.
of Scott Rogowski. Let's get down to the nitty gritty.
yeah. HQ is like they trademarked that term. Obviously, they're the first ones to ever say that.
Of course. So let's talk. First major kind of superhero panel at DC Universe. You went to that like viewing video thing, right? For the streaming service.
Yeah. So Jeff Johns was there. By the way, Jeff Johns ripped.
Jeff Johns is the Kevin Feige of the DC universe?
I think he was. I think he's still like a supervisor, but like I think he's mainly still with the comics and TV side more so than them. I have no idea. Their structure makes no sense, but he's important.
Yeah.
A few other DC and WB people were there, and they tried to show off, like, hey, we got Titans here, we got...
the controversial show that everyone hates?
So here's the thing. So the moderator asked, like, so what's unique about DC Universe? And Jeff Johns it was kind of a joke, but he was like, we have swearing. And I was like, oh dear God, oh my God, because they showed a Titans trailer, and I was like kind of like snickering during that. Like there's part of like CGI ravens when like that just looked really stupid, and this is very angsty. And then they talked about, they did not show anything about Doom Patrol and the casting, which was already announced. Like Brendan Fraser is going to be the voice of Robot Man, for example.
What is Doom Patrol? Robot Man?
Yeah, and they have their own Elastigirl.
Okay.
Yeah,
you mean Mr. Fantastic?
Oh sure, yeah. But look up the Teen Titans episode where Beast Boy meets up with his old team because Beast Boy used to be part of the Doom Patrol. So there is history with Doom Patrol there. They talked about, they briefly mentioned the Young Justice revival, which people were excited about. And they have Swamp Thing, they have Stargirl coming out, but again, they only just talked about them. They didn't show anything.
Whoa. Swamp Thing?
Yeah, Swamp Thing. Yeah.
Wow, that's before Marvel can do Man Thing.
I guess so. Yeah, because it's a huge race to get their
to do
thing.
Giant swamp creature.
Yeah, sure. It was a strange press event because it was like they're trying to get people excited about, and they're like, oh, we got like so many different genres. Like we got like something a little more mature with Titans. We got something a little funnier with
romantic comedy, thriller, dark thriller, dark psych thriller,
right.
dark.
Well, they showed the Harley Quinn. They showed a trailer of the Harley Quinn animated show, which looks pretty funny actually.
Dark comedy.
Like the Harley Quinn trailer, and you can see it online. But she was like, "Oh yeah, and this is actually gonna like within the trailer, like she's like breaking the fourth wall, and she's like, oh, and this is actually gonna get made, unlike that Deadpool animated show." And everyone was like, "Oh,
yeah." Is Harley Quinn supposed to be like Deadpool now?
I guess so, but it was still like it was a convincing trailer. I will say that.
And I do like the voice actress, which is Kaylee Cuoco from The Big Bang Theory.
Sure, yeah. And then they were like talking about, oh, we're gonna keep adding new movies on the service. So here's the 1984 Supergirl movie. To like no applause because no one likes that movie, and they put the poster on the big screen, on the projector screen. I was like, what the fuck are they showing?
Why is that something to advertise?
That's like such a strange thing to announce there.
I feel like that should have been like a parody announcement. Like, we're gonna do this, and then it's like, oh, it's this thing no one gave a shit about. Like when they announced Captain America Serpent Society.
We have Superman 4, The Quest for Peace in 4K. Like it might as well have been that.
Oh god.
I mean, they didn't announce that, but it might as well have been. But
it probably will be on.
Oh sure.
DC Universe.
Yeah,
online.
The cool thing was that they showed like how you can go like they're like certain newer comics that they'll put on the service, and like the way they're formatted is you can go like panel to panel, but like on the big screen, like optimized for television.
That's kind of cool.
Idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
And then they're like, by the way, everyone here attending the panel gets 1 year of DC Universe for free. And then I was like,
that is kind of cool though.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, I guess I love it now.
I don't have to pay for this. Yeah. After that 1 year, I'm not gonna buy anything.
Yeah, I started exploring what's on there. I found like the Dean Cain, Terry Hatcher, Lewis and Clark TV show, the Linda Carter Wonder Woman show, and then like
just to remind people what Lewis and Clark is, because I didn't know about Lewis and Clark I think until a year or 2 years ago.
Interesting.
When I think you or someone told me that it existed, because it was a mid 90s or early 90s TV show.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I thought Smallville was like the first superhero TV show, and no, it was not at all, by any means. Lewis and Clark is Chris or Lois and Clark.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. You can probably describe it better than I do, but like,
it's a Superman TV show.
It was kind of soapy, wasn't it?
It's like a just a drama thing.
Yeah. So
but it's about Superman and Lois.
Batman Begins and The Dark Knight is on there, but I couldn't find The Dark Knight Rises. I just found the original Teen Titans cartoon on there, which I will definitely be watching.
That is very cool, and probably a lot of people will be using it for that. That cartoon was like my childhood.
Yeah. So. Other than that, I wasn't really convinced by the thing, but if you want to move on to the
big shit.
Next, yeah.
Let's move on to the big shit. Okay, so Friday, Chris, you got to interview the cast of Runaways.
So it was a roundtable interview. It was.
So you're telling me you were sitting next to them?
Yeah, I was like sitting across. So like there were several like literal round tables around the press room, which was like more like a giant cubicle. But so it was kind of like a round robin where they would have several reporters at each table, and then they would also have a backdrop where like people with people going there for video coverage to do video interviews, and then they would rotate the cast members around basically. So we got to like ask questions like one at a time. So the first one we asked a question to was Greg Sulkin, who plays Chase Stein. shorter than I thought he would be. A little scruffy.
A lot of actors are actually shorter than you would think.
Yeah, it was interesting.
It's only the stage actors that are actually tall.
Yeah. So, so I set up my Yeti Blue microphone up there. Everyone else had like audio recorders and stuff like that. And like they were late. The Runaways cast were super late. Like I want to say 15 minutes late. So it was just kind of a free for all. They would sit them down, and then we can
sit them down.
Sit them down. Excuse me for my accent. I don't know, but it wasn't that formal. It was just like we can each like ask a question one at a time, basically. I asked Greg Sulkin about his character growth from like being a jock-like character in season 1 to kind of unleashing like the tech genius inside him. And he gave an interesting answer. He talked a lot about like the image that you feel like you have to have in high school, like maybe from pressure from like society or your parents, but like he never actually felt like he was a jock, which I thought was an interesting way to play that. I have kind of a similar question, like about how he kind of grew from the beginning of the first season, and like a show like Runaways has a lot of like teen archetypes, so you're kind of like presented as the jock at first, but then we kind of find that you have a lot of technical prowess, so all these inventions. So I'm just kind of wondering, like this is more so about the way you played him. Did you ever find that you had to kind of like switch between the jock and the tech nerd, and like was that ever a challenge for you?
For sure, I think it's because it's a challenge for the character. I think he was at Atlas Academy as this jock, and I think deep down he never felt like one, which is relatable. I think that in society today we sometimes we're encouraged to put on a facade, so to speak, but that may not be true to who we are, and I think Chase is dealing with that, but he's not the typical jock. He really has. He's extremely intelligent, and I think with the Runaways he has found who he is through spending time with the Runaways.
And any cool new gadgets in season 2?
The Fistigons are amazing. Okay, if I can say that.
They get upgraded?
There may be a couple of tweaks to the Fistigons.
2.0.
And it's, as you can imagine, every kid, or most kids, I'm sure, dream of being a superhero one day. And so that moment for me as an actor that I put on the Fistigons first season and to see them evolve has been really fun, and you just feel like a badass. It's great.
Yeah. And then who was next? I think it was I interviewed Ariella Bearer next, who plays Gert Yorks. And I talked to her about like how she's the most like socially and politically minded character we've seen in the MCU. I cited specifically to her the part when she has like kind of this little fan club like from the feminist group she tried to start, and they're all wearing modified "I'm with her" t-shirts to say "I'm with Gert." So I asked her about that. Like, are there going to be like more like politically charged things about like, you're going to talk about the patriarchy again in season 2? Like, what's the deal with her state of mind, considering that everything in politics sucks right now?
Did you say that specifically, that everything sucks?
I probably have. I guess we'll find out on the audio that I recorded. But one of my favorite images from the first season is, I guess it was like your little group of fans, and they have the "I'm with Gert" shirts with the Hillary Clinton thing. Yeah. So like Gert's like one of the most politically mindful characters in Marvel, and I'm kind of wondering, the real world's kind of going to heck right now, so I'm wondering, like, are there a lot of all these moments in season 1 where she's kind of like, kind of ragging on like gender roles and the patriarchy and whatnot. I'm wondering, like, season 2, there's like a lot of personal things going on, but do any of those moments ever kind of like still pop up?
Well, that's interesting, because I think they pop up in both the ways that you're talking about. They pop up explicitly, just heard conversationally, but it's also interesting in that, like, season 1, she was very conscious, but she was still very much in a position of privilege with like her lifestyle and her socioeconomic status. So now she's not, and she's experiencing this stuff firsthand that she had never experienced before. And there's a great moment where she kind of acknowledges that in episode 1. In episode 1 that I really love, and then throughout the series, she talks about it, gender roles and stuff like that a lot, and just in a lot of ways becomes their moral compass when they start trying to make difficult decisions. When people are getting heated, she kind of brings up from an outside perspective, at first in a very anxious, out of fear way, and then later she kind of gets to discuss like rationally what she thinks is the right thing to do, which is a hard thing to decide up against evil. And then also, I was talking about this with one of our writers, Tracy, of just portraying like feminism now. The anxiety thing is a new thing that's not in the comics. Yeah. But I think the experience of being a feminist in 2018 is very different from being a feminist in 2002. Yeah. And it definitely involves a lot more anxiety and fear than it did in the past. So that is an adaptation or a modernization of feminism kind of that Gert is bringing.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's a good approach to have, especially on like a privileged character, and for people that are privileged and able to see that. So you're like, hey, reflect a little bit, and I think that's a really cool answer.
Yeah, and she also talked a lot about how being a feminist in 2018 is different than being a feminist in 2002. Which is when the comic first came out, so it was definitely like an evolution of that.
Mm-hmm. That was still whatever, third wave third wave feminine, and we're in fourth wave. Yeah, I think I got it. I think that's it. Okay, and then the man, the second in command, not the Hercules to Kevin Feige's Zeus. What's another?
I was going to talk about another. I was going to talk about another.
To Kevin Feige's Zeus. I don't really know Egyptian gods that well, but I think Anubis is big. But you met Jeff Loeb.
I did. So Jeff Loeb, I forgot what order it was. They were like in between the kids, but like Jeff Loeb and Stephanie Savage, one of the two co-creators of Runaways. Stephanie Savage also worked on Gossip Girl and The OC.
Yeah, which is a lot of qualities we see in Runaways.
Yeah, so Stephanie and Jeff Loeb, and I was the first person to ask questions, so I just like got my shotgun out and was like, "Tell me about all the Easter eggs." It was like, "Hey, so we've seen a lot of references between like Luke Cage season 2 and Cloak and Dagger season 1." So I was like, "Are we gonna get any more of that in Runaways?" Because there weren't really any in season 1. And he was like,
"You always try to get me in this kind of trouble, and all I can tell you is
that's my job.
When it seems like it's appropriate, we do that sort of thing. Okay. We don't look. We're not in the Easter egg farm business.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I understand.
But we do like our fans to be able to go, "Oh, look, cool. That's that." Yeah. But it is one of the things that's unique about Runaways is that it takes place in Los Angeles. Yeah. And when you stop and you think about it, I'm not so sure that 6 kids whose parents have murdered a whole bunch of people who are on the run are going to sit around and go, "Hey, I wonder what Captain America's doing right now." Yeah. So, it's being able to find
all the time.
So yeah, that was very that was a diplomatic way to say that, even though he didn't really address the fact that like, oh, Luke Cage and Cloak and Dagger totally did that organically. And then I asked Stephanie Savage about like, hey, is there like an interesting balance between the teen drama and the superhero portions of like this thing that she's created with Josh. Josh Schwartz, excuse me. Josh Schwartz is the other guy's name.
I don't think it was a tough balance. It was definitely a fun balance. For Josh and I, we love to write for young characters. We love to write for teenagers who really feel like the stakes of their experiences are life and death, and in this case, they really were. So that was a fun expression.
On our side, this ever since Marvel Television opened, the fans sort of, Runaways was always in the top 5, if not the top 3. And internally, we would refer to it as the OC in the Marvel Universe. Yeah. And so we kept sort of hoping that the right writers would come in and have the right take for us, because that's really it is. We hire from passion. We don't hire from, obviously we want talent, but it's not really the first thing. And when Josh and Stephanie came in the first time, it really was just a general meeting. We didn't know whether or not they were interested in doing it. We knew that Josh was a comic book fan. We knew that Savage was someone who was not, and I'm putting that politely. But they, we said, is there anything that even remotely interests you? And they presented the giant hardcover and said, this, Runaways. And so when the universe bumps into each other that way, where we're looking for somebody and they're looking for the same thing, that's it.
What you say?
Yeah, sure, exactly. And then I thought that was a really great way to describe that.
For the uninitiated who are hearing me reference the Imogen Heap song, that was one that was referenced in an SNL sketch, and it was based on an OC scene starring Tom Hardy?
No way. No.
Or am I getting Tom Hardy confused with someone who looks exactly like Tom Hardy?
I seriously doubt it, but I don't know. We can find that out later. But,
someone's probably going to be like, "Oh, you idiot! It's not Tom Hardy, even though it looks like Tom Hardy." But yeah. But that's why I referenced it.
Yeah. I didn't make that connection, to be honest. Yeah. I'm hoping for their own what you say moment in the Runaways.
In like the way that we use it now, it's very memey and very funny, but the actual moment when it happened is very intense and very real.
I'm sure it is.
So
yeah.
It would be very interesting to see it something like that happen. So yeah.
Then
So that was really cool. You got to meet some heavy hitters.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even talk about the rest of the cast members yet.
Yeah, we want to go into some of the other cast members?
Yeah, Virginia Gardner played Carolina, and I basically straight up asked, hey, talk to me about queer representation in the MCU. Maybe I shouldn't start with a big question like this, but I'm wondering because, when it comes to, queer representation in Marvel, we haven't really seen a lot of that. Maybe some in the other television shows, but, Nico and Carolina is kind of the first real queer couple between two main characters. So I'm wondering what the discussions were behind the scenes like that. Did you feel any pressure? Kind of were you aware how kind of a big first time deal that was for Marvel?
Yeah, I think we were all aware, especially in Lyrica and I, and we really made it a point too. I think it was always Josh and Steph's intention to write that relationship into the show, but her and I made it a point at season 1 to be please, put us together. We really want to explore this relationship and do it on this platform. And this year we've got the opportunity to fully explore it on this platform. But I don't think we didn't try to explore it differently than you would any other relationship. We treated it as if it was, any relationship between two people. But I do think it's just really, I wasn't nervous about that as much as I was just excited to be able to provide representation on a superhero show, which is not done enough.
And out of curiosity, I was hey, did you do any research about Scientology or any of that stuff for the Church of Gibborim? And she said she did, and that we're going to see more of that in season 2. Specifically, the depth of how dark that church actually is. I'm wondering, for both seasons, did you, in terms of the cult that your character was in, did you personally do any research on real life cults or Scientology and kind of apply anything that
I've definitely done some research on that, and also trying to get into the headspace of somebody that is so enthralled in something like that. And I think that the Church of Gibborim is also explored a lot this year too. We get into the depth of how dark that church actually is. So there's a lot of exploration on Gibborim this year.
I guess another technical question, on set, what are you actually seeing when you're glowing? I guess.
It's we're looking at a tennis ball a lot of the time. Like, you're looking... I will never judge an actor ever again on one of those shows, because literally you are reacting against absolutely nothing, or if you are looking at anything, it's, like, ridiculous. Yeah. And there's, like, dots all over my face. People have to act as if I don't look like a crazy person covered in tracking dots. So it's challenging.
It's like when you're looking at your own arm, it's just like...
It's like tracking dots, or sometimes they tape LED lights to my arms. Okay. So I'm literally like half robot, and I'm plugged into a wall socket, and I have like a cord that's going with me, so it's interesting.
All right, who next?
Molly Hernandez, the character played by Allegra Acosta. Very cool person. So I guess in the when we start season 1, like you're the youngest of the group, so there's kind of a lack of trust, like a kind of like boy cried wolf kind of deal, like whenever you're kind of So I'm wondering, like, since well, first of all, I love it kind of subverts the, like, you're the smallest one, but you're also physically the strongest one. So I'm kind of wondering, like, in season 2, like, how much trust do the other people in the group have in you, and like how does that group dynamic evolve?
I think at the beginning of the season they've run away, so like they're actually like runaways. They're homeless. They have no rich Brentwood parents to fall back on. But I think Molly naturally has something in her where she knows her way around. Like she knows how to handle herself on her own. She's ready to take on this superhero like role, and they don't know it yet. Like throughout the whole season, you can see how Molly kind of leads the group in certain areas. They don't say it, and they realize when she's gone, they have no idea what to do. Like, because Molly, they don't trust her, but she's kind of the glue. She's kind of that young, innocent girl who's, like, really positive and believes in herself, that she makes the group feel unstoppable at sometimes. So that dynamic is kind of translated over the course of season 2 of, like, when Molly grows up a little bit and she gets more physically and mentally, like, prepared to take on the world. They're like, oh my god, Molly's not a little girl anymore. Like, she's grown. She's coming. Yeah, so it's fun.
And then finally, the last person I talked to was Renzi Felice, who plays Alex Wilder, and I was asking him, like, does your character feel any jealousy from being like the only one without powers or abilities or talents? But like, because he never really expressed any sort of jealousy in season 1, so I'm just wondering, like, as he sees his friends kind of develop their powers through season 2, like, how does he feel just kind of watching that, like, kind of on the sideline, I guess?
No, I don't think he does see it as, I wish I had some. I do for sure, but I think he gets it. Like I said, I think he understands how he helps, and he helps through using his brain and making decisions and making kind of the strategy behind it all, and that's he understands that.
Does he become more like of a leader in season 2 in that regard?
I feel like if anyone may become more of a leader, it would be Nico. Okay. Season 2. A bit less, at least less so Alex. Sure. So especially towards the beginning, they sort of give him a couple elbows. They kind of put him down a bit, and he sort of, in a way, he ostracizes himself as well as them sort of ostracizing him. It's kind of team and Alex at the very beginning of season 2, and so in a way, so I wouldn't say he's necessarily the leader anymore.
Yeah, that is freaking awesome. You're able to you're meeting the heavy hitters. Oh yeah, you're getting close. You're getting close to. You're moving up the Mount Olympus of the MCU.
Again with the freaking metaphors over here. Like
next you're gonna talk to, like, maybe like the next step, like big milestone, Tom Holland, and then after that, Brie Larson, and then after that, the daddy himself, Kevin Feige.
And then after that, I'll talk to the President of the United States. After that,
you're gonna be in a movie.
I'll talk to God. I'll talk to
We'll all get to do that, bud.
Okay, all right.
Speaking of religion, do you want to talk about Good Omens for a bit, or no? We already talked about all
yeah, we can just move on to Daredevil, since I think I talked enough about Good Omens. The Good Omens panel is very good. Check out my article on Destructoid about that. Mm-hmm. I think Daredevil is more what this audience will want to hear about, though.
Yes. Yeah. Daredevil Season 3 coming out in 1 week.
Yeah, so, so we all speculated who, like, the new bad guy of Season 3 would be.
It's gonna be Bullseye.
Yeah, so they were like they straight up called it the worst kept secret by Marvel, like, ever, which I don't probably not like 100% true, but like it was very badly kept secret because it was just fairly obvious. But yeah, pretty much everyone was there. So Charlie Cox was there. Vince D'Onofrio was there.
Awesome.
Deborah Ann Wall was there. Eldon Henson was there. And all the new characters like Joanne Wally, who plays Sister Maggie, was there.
Okay.
The two FBI agents. There's Agent Nadeem, played by Jay Ellie, and Dex, played by Wilson Bethel. I think that's how you pronounce his name. But he is the guy who eventually becomes Bullseye. And
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, so they showed a lot of cool clips from that show. I'm not sure how much.
Does Bullseye put on the special garb?
So there is a trailer that came out online that they showed at the panel, and like at one point he puts on a hat with that logo on it. But like they I don't think they're going to actually say Bullseye, or like at least unless like not in an official capacity, maybe at like a tongue-in-cheek capacity. But the same way they said like Wilson Fisk doesn't call himself Kingpin and wears like the white suit yet.
Well, they do say we're going after the Kingpin, and Kingpin is
sure.
like they have that deck of cards in season 1 where it's like he's the king.
Yeah. So they I won't say details about the clips because I'm not sure if I'm going to be breaking any embargo or anything like that, but like there were parts where they clearly demonstrated like Bullseye's like accuracy and skill set. So there was one clip they showed, and it was totally obvious, even though they didn't say it yet, that he was totally Bullseye. Yeah. So at that, they kind of just kept leading up to it, and like they were like kind of having cold feet about saying it out loud, but eventually, Wilson said like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be Bullseye," and then everyone started cheering. Charlie Cox stood up, got a marker out, and drew a bullseye on his forehead. That was really funny.
So does that raises the question? Who's gonna be a better Bullseye? Him or Colin
Farrell? Oh my god. I have not seen that movie in a long time, so I couldn't really.
In class, you'd show us multiple clips from that Daredevil.
Yeah, but I couldn't make an informed prediction from that. But I will say they showed one fight scene between Daredevil and Bullseye, and it was like, I won't describe what happened because it was amazing, but it was amazing.
Is it up to the caliber that you would see with Daredevil?
Yeah. It was. Oh man, I wish was
it Daredevil season 1 or Daredevil season 2?
Season 1, I'd say. I wish I could describe to you like the actual details of that fight, but it was so good.
That's awesome.
And then they teased that there will be another hallway fight scene, which you can kind of see in the new trailer. Mm-hmm. And they said, "Oh yeah, we topped the season 1 one." I was like, okay, if you say so. So yeah, that was pretty much Daredevil in a nutshell. I liked Eric Olson talked about how the season is about conquering fear. You know, like Daredevil's the man without fear, but like this is about conquering fear. And the phrase he used was interesting. He said it's about conquering fear and the narcissistic tyrants who weaponize it.
Very heavy.
Yeah.
I wonder who that's a reference to. Did you chuckle when he said that?
A little bit. I mean, like,
did other people laugh?
It didn't really catch everyone the same way it did me. He didn't say it so overtly. Like,
Wait,
it wasn't.
Sorry.
What's that?
What was the last thing you said? Sorry.
Like, people didn't catch it as like as.
Yeah.
It wasn't as overt.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It was not as overt as John Hamm describing Gabriel in Good Omens, where he was saying like, Gabriel is like he's like a really bad boss. Basically, he's like someone who always thinks he's right, but he's never right, and he took many.
He's the bad guy of the show.
He took many pauses, and like people started laughing because they knew exactly who he was talking about.
Yeah.
But like this moment in the Daredevil panels was not exactly like that.
So narcissistic people that use fear.
Yeah.
I wonder who possibly.
Yeah.
Anyone in the real world. Could he be referencing?
It could be a lot of people, actually, if we're being honest. But
if we are being honest, it could be a lot of people. But who does everyone know?
Yeah. Donald Trump is who he was talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So when he was talking about Wilson Fisk, and Bullseye, like the relationship, the whole thesis question was like, how can you turn someone who has the potential to be good and be productive to society? Because Bullseye is an FBI agent, a very skilled FBI agent. What happens when a force of evil like Wilson Fisk also turns him evil, you know? So, like, it's kind of like this origin story of corruption, which I think could be interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. They have, like, a own little trailer for it. His name is I forget his first... Point Dexter is his actual name. Or Dex. But we will know him as Bullseye, I guess. But yeah, no ninjas like season 2. I didn't see any ninjas there.
God. No more ninjas.
Yeah.
Had enough with those ninjas.
Yeah. So that's I don't want to get too much into Doctor Who because that's a little too off topic, but you can read my thoughts about that on Destructoid. But that was pretty much all that in a nutshell, I guess.
That's awesome though, bud.
Yeah.
This is the big leagues now.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm happy to hear it.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. Oh my god.
Yeah. It seems like it was very exhausting.
Yeah. But I survived. If I go through the rest of the week and I don't feel sick, then I am the most powerful person alive. Yeah, but any other questions you have for me, Anthony?
Not that I can think of. Unless I'm missing something that you definitely want to talk about. I have one final question.
Go ahead.
How was Venom?
Anthony, we will have another episode next week about that. Yeah. I don't know who... So you've seen it. You've seen it, right?
It was very, very, like... Imagine if they made The Room, but for superhero movies.
That's kind of like maybe not the way it was made, but the way you experience watching in the theater. It was very Tommy Wiseau-esque.
Like this is like polished, like well, I wouldn't say polished, but polished in the sense that this is a AAA movie. This is not
a big studio. Yeah,
this is not some schmuck with a TV camera. This is an actual TV studio with like a budget. Who actually made Venom look really cool, and the fight scenes were actually really cool.
Yeah.
That's the only good quality of this movie, and that's why I would call it the Room of superhero movies compared to your Daredevil and your Catwoman and your Batman Returns. Like
Batman and Robin, you mean? Batman Returns is pretty damn good.
Batman. What's the one with Mr. Freeze?
Batman and Robin.
Yeah, Batman and Robin. Okay.
Yeah.
See, like, that's campy. This isn't campy.
It was a little bit, though. I don't know. Yeah. Let's not dwell on it too much because we gotta
talk more about it.
Let's wrap this up. Yeah, I don't know who else. We've both seen it. I don't know who else is going to be in this episode, but
maybe Thomas saw it.
I don't think he wants to see it. I want to watch it again.
Oh no! Don't give them more money.
Yeah. Well.
Oh man!
All right, Tony, want to wrap this up? Let's wrap this up.
Let's finish this. So, Chris, you had a fantastic little weekend at New York.
I'd say so.
That's awesome. We'll hope to see more interview stuff from you in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Where can we find you, Chris?
You can find me at Compendorizer on Twitter.com.
Yeah. Check out all those other Twitter mutuals that Chris met up with at Comic-Con. Maybe you'll see cool stuff that was retweeted. Mm-hmm. So that'd be kind of cool. You can follow me at the Pizza Taco. Yeah, that's it. Wow.
Yeah, we got a Patreon. We got a
Patreon. Yeah. We should let people know about these meetups too.
I put that in the. I like inserted that in the end of the last at the beginning of the last episode.
Okay.
But yeah, we should have more meetups. That would be cool.
We should have more meetups.
Yeah.
But like, most of AP Marvel is kind of scattered, and most of Marvel News Desk is kind of all over the place. But like a New York meetup would be kind of cool.
Sure.
If we can, again, yeah. Well, yeah. Next week, we have some cool stuff planned. I mean, we have a couple of cool podcast ideas episode ideas down the line.
Yeah.
We also need some filler space because we're gonna hit.
Y'all recorded a 2-part thing without me over the weekend.
We did. Yeah. We'll delve into that. That's sure. Kind of like it's kind of like a existential view on the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Good. That fits in perfectly with the premise of this podcast.
Yeah. So that will be kind of interesting. You'll see it. I mean, you probably will have already. Wait, no. You'll hear it in a week. No, in a week after. Yeah. Because we're going to be doing... This episode's coming out this Thursday. Mm-hmm. And then the Venom's going to coming out the next Thursday.
Yeah.
Hoo ha. We're not going to do an episode on Aquaman, right? Please, for the love of God, no.
We'll talk about that at some point.
Oh, whisper. Whisper.
Wrap it up, Tony. God. Wrap it up.
All right.
Let him go.
Yeah, let's. All right, goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks to Steve Mahler for the music.
Thank you, and thank you. Who did the new updated
Charles
image?
Charles Villanueva.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the updated image. It's very nice.